You don't want to give that kind of feedback. It only gets a lot worse. There really are competitions where jugglers judge other jugglers. And they can decide who's the better one. Here's some of the things they look for. They look for, first of all, what kinds of things is the person trying to juggle? What kinds of things are being thrown around the air? Typically, we look for kind of standard props, as opposed to, say, a bowling pin or eating an apple while you're juggling or whatever. It's not that those aren't, kind of cool and funny, but it takes less skill to do that kind of stuff than it does to, say, practice doing 4 balls until you can do it without moving your feet. And that's actually one of the things that they look for. So if you're looking for a good juggler, you want to see if they stay still or they haven't like chase their stuff all around. You also look for how clean their pattern looks. For example, right now, the balls are basically being thrown at the same height. There's a pretty solid rhythm to it. You can change the height without having to run all over the room or try to chase things down. They also look for, can you change the pattern itself? So this is like a half shower. And this is back to what's called a fountain. And then, of course, you can also look to see how good a juggler is by looking at the kind of tricks they do. So, for example, this is, again, the standard 4-ball pattern. But if I throw one high in the air and then juggle 3 and go back into the 4 balls, that's considered, a fairly difficult trick because it's involving several patterns at one time. Jugglers often say, we're not efficiency experts. There must be a harder way to do this. So you can always try to do things like throws behind the back. This one's called circular. And then back to fountain. So basically you look for form. Again. This trick doesn't really mean anything, I just like the way it feels. There we go. All right. So I've got this juggling studio, and I am very, very aware of the fact that I'm a lucky person. It's nice to have it. I mean, here's the thing about juggling is that it's really hard, or maybe I'm just so much a prima donna I can't stand it, but it's really hard to practice outside. Because if you're hot and you sweat, then you can't really see. The clubs slip out of your hands. If it's windy at all, you can't practice. If it's rainy, you can't practice. So having a space like this is perfect. Because then I can do it year-round, and it's got heat and air conditioning. 16.5-foot ceilings. So it's a wonderful space to have, and I'm just really lucky. Here's, I try to sort of rationalize it. Here's what I figured. There are people who, let's say, are really into making models, and they have like a little area in their house, maybe the basement, that has, some kind of modeling section, and it's dedicated just to that. This is kind of like that. It's just that my hobby requires just a lot more space and tall ceilings.